You ever stare at one of those dense, technical stock reports and just feel your eyes glaze over? All that jargon? Well, today we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're taking a real report and turning it into a story that actually makes sense. And our case study for today is the stock CIEN. Let's get into it. So, the very first thing you need to know about CIN is this number right here, a massive 65% gain in just the last 3 months. I mean, wow, a jump like that isn't just random static, it's a huge signal. It tells us something really big is going on, and it brings up the one major question we've got to answer. So what is the story behind that 65%? We're going to tackle this like a detective story, sifting through all the data, looking for clues. Our mission is to piece together the evidence from this technical report to figure out what in the world is driving this stock's incredible run. All right, every good investigation starts with the basics, right? So let's open up the case file on CIN and just see where things stand at this very moment. Okay, so you can see the current price is sitting around 230 bucks. But that's not the really interesting part. Look down at that last row, position in 52-week range. At over 91%, that means the stock is trading in the top 10% of its entire price range for the whole year. This isn't just a good day, it's pretty close to peak performance. That confirms that this is a major run. So we know the stock is flying high, but is this just a recent burst of energy, or is it part of something more sustainable? Let's dig up our first clue by figuring out the trend's real direction. To do that, we use a neat little tool called the moving average. It sounds fancy, but it's really simple. It just smooths out all the daily price bumps so we can see the real underlying direction of travel. You know, kind of like figuring out your average speed on a long car ride. First, let's look at the short-term picture. The stock's average price over the last 20 days was about $207. Well, its current price of $230 is way above that. That tells us the momentum lately has been super positive. The stock is actually accelerating. Now, let's zoom out, and this is where you see the real power of this move. The current price is more than double its average price over the last 200 days. I mean, it's not just a little bit above. It's in a completely different ballpark. This is no flash in the pan. This is a powerful, long-term uptrend. So our first clue is locked in. The moving averages are telling us loud and clear that the trend for CSIEN is undeniably positive, both recently and over the long haul. Okay, so we know the direction is up, but how much power is behind that push? Our next clue is all about the speed and strength driving this thing. It's time to measure the momentum. Our first tool for this is the Relative Strength Index, or RSI. Just think of it as a scale from 0 to 100. Now, anything over 70 is usually considered overbought, which can be a sign that a rally is running out of steam. CN's RSI is 62.33. That's a really healthy number. It shows strong bullish momentum, but without being in that danger zone. The trend is strong, but it's not exhausted yet. Next, we'll check the MACD. I know, it sounds super complicated, but it's really just another way to measure momentum. It compares two different moving averages to get a feel for the trend's health. Think of it as getting a second opinion. So let's break this down real quick. The first two lines are what really matter. The MACD line, that's our momentum indicator, is at 8.18. The signal line, which is like a trigger, is just behind it at 8.12. And because that main MACD line is above the signal line, that is a classic bullish sign. The histogram confirms it with that little positive value. Bottom line, the upward momentum is still going strong. So the trend is up, the momentum is strong, but does the rest of the market agree? You know, a price move is a whole lot more convincing when a ton of people are getting involved. So for our third clue, let's check the trading volume to see if there's any real conviction out there. This number, 1.43, this is the key piece of evidence. It's the relative volume. It just compares today's trading to the recent average. So a reading of 1.43 means volume is 43% higher than normal. This isn't some quiet little move happening in the background. This is happening with a ton of market participation. The volume absolutely confirms the conviction behind this trend. All right, we've gathered all our clues. We've got the trend, the momentum, and the volume. Now it's time to put all the evidence together and deliver our final verdict on CIN's technical picture. So let's just recap what we found. First, the trend is powerfully positive. The price is way above its short and long-term averages. Second, the momentum is bullish and healthy. We got a thumbs up from both the RSI and the MACD. And third, This move is backed by some serious conviction, with volume 43% above average. Every single piece of evidence is pointing in the exact same direction. And hey, our detective work is actually confirmed by the report's own final scores. The overall technical score comes in as moderately bullish, and the trend quality index is rated as strong. This final report card perfectly lines up with what we found, a bullish stock with a high-quality, powerful trend. So where does it go from here? Well, the report points out these key levels. You've got support down around 218. Think of that as a potential floor for the price. Then you've got resistance near 237, which is the next potential ceiling it needs to break through. These are basically the battlegrounds that could decide the next part of this stock's journey. And that brings us to the end of our investigation. We've taken a really dense report and turned it into a clear story. The evidence is it's overwhelming. It points to a stock that's in the middle of a powerful, high-conviction uptrend. And that, of course, leaves us with the ultimate question that the data itself can't answer. The one that every single person in the market is asking now. How long can it last?